and getting to hear a TV legend tell you a great backstage story. Phenomenal. So that was my introduction to the business.
Mr. Berger, that time you played Porky Pig.
That's right. When I was Bob Berger in the previous, I'll give you a choice of two. One was my first, which was led to a commercial and led to a puppet show series, or my Quantum Leap first, which is the better of the two stories.
I vote for Quantum Leap.
I'm gonna opt for Quantum Leap, and if there's time later, I'll tell you the first. But I was doing a play that was originally done in New York. Tommy Toon directed it, called Cloud 9. It came to Los Angeles, and I was cast in it. In a last minute, I ended up as the understudy and went on one night in the West Coast production, and Gordon Hunt, who was not only the head of Hanna-Barbera in those, not the head of Hanna-Barbera, but the primary voice casting person and voice directing person for Hanna-Barbera in those days, happened to be in the audience that night. He came back and asked the stage manager, Kevin Barr, to come and get me. He knew I had gone on as the understudy. I came out, I knew who he was, and he said, if you're as versatile as what I just saw on stage tonight, we should know about you for animation. And I thought, this is the opportunity people talk about, and it's happening right now. And I thought, all of this went through my head. If I say thank you, this is all going to go away before he gets to the car and goes to dessert. So I said, you know what? You've had my demo for about 6 months now. If you can move it from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile and give it a listen, yes, I want to be working where you're working. I want to be doing shows for you. I want this more than I can tell you. And I thought he'd be insulted or he'd laugh. He laughed hard. He had me in the middle of the next week. He introduced me with a, do you believe the nerve of this guy? By the way, I mean, I'll put this right out front. I can be polite to a fault. I can polite myself right out of a situation, but I didn't that day. I didn't mistake it for anything other than what it was. He said, can you believe the nerve of this guy? And then he said, but he's the new kid. Please make him feel welcome. He's killer, and you're all going to be seeing more of him. This was for a new episode of, the Jetsons came and went, and then they did some episodes of the new Jetsons. He seated me next to Mel Blanc, and I swear, if I had died that moment, it would have been, my life makes sense, everything's fulfilled. I mean, I teach now, and I love teaching, but the lesson of what happened to me that night is that I'm optimistic enough to believe that opportunities make themselves available, hopefully to everyone. But if you mistake them for just another moment, then that's what they become. Every day of the rest of my life changed because I did the inconvenient thing in that instant, and it changed my life. See, it's way better than the other stories.
Question? Actually, a huge fan of the critic. I know Maurice was on it.
Well. Thank you.
And I love your Australian. I keep forgetting.
Jeremy Hawk.
Jeremy Hawk. But I know. Did you do the Orson Welles?
Yeah,
the fish sticks.
Yes, the
Peas in July.
rosebud frozen peas, full of natural goodness and green penis. Wait, that's terrible. I'm leaving. Just a handful for the road. They're even better frozen. Yes, that was awesome. You?
Out of all the voices that you guys have done, is there anyone that really stood out to you guys?
You're asking us each individually?
Yes. You guys.
Maurice did one once that I thought just sucked out loud. And
It was Orson Welles on The Critic. I've never used that voice again, only once.
I don't know, do you want to just start at the end?
Yeah, go
Hey,
ahead.
as long as Rob is talking about other people's voices, I think that's an interesting way to go and a lot less self-serving. For me, myself, whatever I'm doing at the moment, I'm going to do the most with it that I am capable of doing. But as far as a voice that stood out to me, I had the great good fortune of being the animated voice of Odie since Odie's had an animated voice. When Lorenzo Music was the voice of Garfield, and again, this comes up in teaching. Everybody says, people tell me if I don't have 42 voices, I shouldn't even try. Well, you only need one, but if you only have one, it better, if you're a one-trick pony, it better be a really good trick.
Yeah.
Lorenzo had this wonderful ability to make whatever was given to him on paper real, but it all came through one voice. But it never didn't ring true.
Agreed.
It never didn't make you smile or laugh. And so even if they gave him some ridiculous premise, he would make it his own and filter it through that. So you need one voice, but it better be a friggin' good voice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Tom Sharp is the same way.
Yeah.
Tom Sharp.
Tom Bodette.
Tom Bodette.
But Maurice, what is your favorite
What's your
voice?
favorite
My favorite voice of yours?
No, yours.
Well, I mean, I don't want to Orson Welles us to death here. The brain was, stood out for me. And not just because, it's not because it's an Orson Welles impression, because as a character, Brain was the most interesting character for me to play, because he's, in spite of the fact that he's a 2-inch tall, genetically altered lab mouse with an extremely pronounced forehead and a very bad attitude. He's also all of us in the sense, he's an everyman in the sense that we've all got a dream. I mean, his was taking over the world, whatever it is for each of us. And no matter what happened to him and Pinky in a given episode, at the end, the very key life lesson there was he didn't give up. He said, "Come, Pinky, we're going back to the lab to plan for tomorrow night."
Why, Brian? What are you going to do tomorrow night?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. And that's an analogy for each and every one of us. Whatever it is you want, don't let it get you down when something, trips you up on the path. Just dust yourself off and head back to the lab to plan for tomorrow night. I hope there's nobody in here planning to take over the world.
But in a good way.
Yeah. So that for me, he was the most interesting character of all, because there were layers to him. He started out as just a villainous character, an ineffectual villainous character. But as the show went on, we built a lot of love into that relationship, and he truly cares about Pinky. And I don't know. I loved playing him for that reason. It was a real relationship show. So that's it. That's for me.
Yeah, and I have to, I guess, concur that Pinky probably was, my favorite too. I mean, I enjoyed doing Yakko on Animaniacs, and I've been very fortunate to have worked on a lot of really fun stuff with a lot of really, really gifted people. But the relationship between Pinky and the Brain was really beautifully cultivated, and the show progressed, and the same thing, Pinky loved Brain and was, loyal to a fault. And still, when I watch the Christmas...
it brings a little tear to your eye.
I watch the Pinky and the Brain Christmas show, and it makes me freaking cry. Dear Santa, I'm so sorry to bother you, but would you, if you got in that great big bag of yours, the world... Then he gives the Brain a keychain with the globe on it, and the Brain just gets all teary-eyed.
Well, now I'm crying.
But so the Pinky is a very special character to me for many, many reasons, and not the least of which is
because he won an Emmy for it.
Right on cue. But also, it really does. Life imitates art. I mean, I love Maurice and the ability to sort of bring this really deep friendship, especially now that he's waxed his back. He's so much. Used to work at the Re-Wax Your Backs.
You know that no one can wax their own back. You helped.
No, but honestly,
Just in that
still very
one
sensitive
spot.
back there.
so Pinky for many reasons, was great professionally and all that, but it really did. We were able to bring a lot of our mutual love and respect for each other into the characters, and I
The
think
character has
it
such
showed.
wonderful vulnerability too, and resilience. He's just a great character. You can't not love Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, and he makes, and in that way he makes the Brain acceptable, because if if Pinky loves Brain, well then maybe it's okay for you two too. Thank God, because just on his own, if it was just the Brain, you'd go, okay, tired of the fucking Orson Welles again.
You know what else is because all of us are big, we all grew up and we all quote Python stuff to each other because we're such geeks, Eric Idle played Pinky's mother and father.
Saw him last night. He's 7 boxes away from me at the Hollywood Bowl.
How about that?
Yeah, it was wild.
And that's just so cool. We got to have all these wonderful celebrities. Roddy McDowell played Snowball.
Snowball!
Evil gerbil.
Yeah.
And, I got to sit next to Roddy McDowell.
I got this next to Ernest Borgnine.
Do you
And
remember
he
when
played
Vincent
my
Price came in to do the pose the Raven for Tiny Toons?
That's right.
He came in with